What up, everybody? It's the Build Different podcast. Usual suspects: Ricky, CEO of Extropian; Sean, the COO of Extropian; Justin, one of our lead data scientists. And today we will be talking again about a subject we broached, I think, a couple months ago, but leads to a lot of trash talk. Fun time of the year, as a lot of other fans know. You guys are probably in your own leagues, but we're starting our Extropian league again this year. So we want to talk a little bit about fantasy football, the ins and outs, some of the other leagues these guys are in, and just the overall fun that you can have with it, and how it's kind of changed the game of football and fandom. So that being said, first and foremost, we will be having our draft as well, but we'll be trying to cover that live, and that'll be a fun episode. So just to kind of reiterate and go back to last year. What do you guys think of our experience playing last year? And maybe we could talk a little bit about our league. Sean, you set it up. How did you set up our league last year for the viewers out there?
Uh, our league last year was small just to get it started. It was a 6 team PPR league. So and I believe everyone had uh
Wasn't it eight?
quarterback. What?
Wasn't it 18? Or was it
No,
6?
last year was 6.
Oh, okay.
Well,
So
really five, not counting Raul, because Raul was an absentee owner.
yeah, we had a couple owners who didn't pay attention to their roster enough. But it was two QB, two running back, two wide receiver, a tight end, two flex, and defense and kicker. So um, it definitely took some skill. I think there was a few trades made during the year, not too many. I think I traded Tua for Jamar Chase. I love Tua, but if you're gonna get Jamar Chase, you kind of have to do it. Uh,
That was fun.
but it was a good league. It was fun. I won the whole thing,
No, you
despite what
didn't.
Oh,
Justin
No, you
despite
didn't.
what
here we
Justin
go.
seems to think.
No, you didn't.
Uh,
Here we go.
but I mean, that was a big thing last year. At the end was the Bills Bengals game that didn't finish because of the Damar Hamlin situation, and that impacted a ton of fantasy leagues that were on the bubble. I mean, I still firmly believe I would have won, but
No, you wouldn't.
there's a little bit of debate that goes on there. Justin, how about you? How did you feel about our league last year?
I mean, I felt like it was domination for me personally. I felt like I was going to destroy your team for the third time because I was undefeated against you the whole year. You were undefeated against everybody else except me. I remember that much. And I remember that last game, man. I remember I was down probably like 15 points, but I still had Joe Mixon and then like my tight end or something to go. I knew I was gonna win because it was only like the second quarter, so I was like, I got this. He just got like 55 points the previous week, so I knew I was gonna win. But it ended. I mean, it ended how it ended, so it was inconclusive. We can call it a draw, I guess. So um, hopefully that doesn't happen this year, and we get a clear winner this time.
For the record, I also had Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase left. It's not like he's the only person who had players playing in that game.
I was gonna win. I was gonna win. It doesn't matter. Like
You
Joe
forgot to leave that part out.
That's
Because I forgot how it went down, and I was like listening to him. I was like, damn, yeah, you did have a chance to win. And then he left out the Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase part. So I'm like, wait a minute now. Okay, so yeah, that was what happened. So it's still debatable, but I mean, this is what gives you the opportunity at revenge, Justin. This gives you the opportunity
I don't
to
need
prove
revenge.
yourself.
I don't need revenge. I never lost to him. He lost to me twice.
On that little like prediction thing that I think ESPN has where they tell you like your percent chance of winning. At when that game stopped, it was probably like a 5% for Justin and like 95% for
No,
Sean.
whatever. No, it wasn't.
See, well, this is your chance to prove to Sean yet again that you were the superior. You had the superior team, I guess. That we'll put it that way. Kind of
I'll
keep
remove,
it level. No, not keep it.
I will remove all doubt this season. Don't worry.
That's what I like to hear.
Ricky,
For
how was your last season? I know that was your first season playing in a while. Any thoughts? Any regrets?
um, never any regrets. I I think I ended up coming in last. I think even Raul, the absentee owner that I made fun of, I think he ended up surpassing me. But it was all because, like, and that's why I told you guys prior, I don't like playing fantasy football because I like watching reality football more than the fantasy aspect of football. So my team was literally littered with Bucks players, and I think I had the Bucks defense. I had the Bucks kicker at one point. I had Brady. I had Evans. I think I had one more person on the team. And
I think you had
so
Lenny too.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I had Lenny too. Lenny. Um, so yeah, I played with my heart more than my head, and I figured it wouldn't work out. You know what I mean? Unless the Bucks went on an epic run, which it was the total opposite that happened. But lesson learned. This year, I'm gonna play smarter. I'm gonna play the right way because it's. And I hate to say this as a Bucks fan, but I don't mind a down year. I want one of those top two quarterbacks in the draft. No
Mhm.
disrespect to Baker if I ever meet you, and you'd end up balling this year. But yeah, so I'm good with a down year. So therefore, like I don't have any problems picking, you know, uh, you know, I can't even bring myself to say it. Saints players or um, Falcons, the Falcons, the Aints, the Kittens, So yeah, I'm gonna play smarter this year. If the opportunity's there to get that guy that is gonna help me win, I'll do it. No ifs ands or buts. So coming to win this year. Um, I was gonna
So,
ask you,
oh, go
Sean.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you don't mind. About some of the other leagues that you're in, and like what are the maybe some of the rules that you guys have, because I personally I didn't even take the time to learn about the different rules, and even I didn't even look at the score, and I was busy. But some of the other rules, and maybe even the tradition that you have, because I think it's really cool what you and your friends do.
Yeah, I'm in one league that I've been in since, early in high school, so it's been probably like 10 years now. And we 2 years ago we started doing destination drafts where we, like, as many of us as possible, travel to a different city, get an Airbnb for a couple days, and we draft there, and go out to bars and stuff like that. So that's been a fun tradition that we've been doing. But our league is a 16 team, so it's you got a lot of people. Usually people end up starting someone who's not very good or not expected to be very good. I've seen. One year I started a player who got negative points. Or actually, that happens often. That's never a good thing. So it's definitely challenging, and it provides a different thing, and it's also zero point 0.1 PPR. So PPR stands for points per reception. Essentially, our league is almost a 0 point, like it's zero point 0.1 points per reception, which is nothing compared to, like, most leagues now are 1 point PPR. So we're kind of old school, I guess, in that way. And a lot of the guys in my league don't want to change it, even though I'm more in favor of moving to at least like a half PPR system. But yeah, in that league, I've won twice in that league, which was fun. We started a tradition where the winner gets a jacket that has, like, it's like a cream colored jacket. It's got the NFL logo on it. On the inside, it's got all of the different team logos. It's like one of those, like, varsity jackets basically that you get, like, from playing high school sports. Um, and it's on the back. It's got embroidered all the champions from the years that we've been in the league. So I had the pleasure of having that jacket for a year, and then I gave it up because I didn't win last year. But um, that's kind of been the traditions that we've done, and it's been very fun. We've been through a lot. We've had people get kicked out of the league for not being active enough. We used to do hundreds of trades a year. We've kind of cooled down on that. Now we do maybe, like, 5 trades each, if that. And yeah, and it's we've had people get, like, suspensions because they did illegal stuff. Um, like paying money for players and doing trades for like that were not supposed to happen, like after the trade deadline. We have a whole rules list that got made up basically because people, not going to name any names, but I may or may not have been one of them, breaking a lot of rules and then having to, make a new rule to fix the rule that was broken. So, yeah,
A suspension for illegal. Man, it's like real world and real league stuff going on in your league.
yeah. One of the champions has an asterisk next to his name because he did something illegal to win the championship, but it was too late. They
Performance
didn't find
enhancing,
out until a few years later.
performance enhancing something.
He may have made a deal where he got Aaron Hernandez prior to Aaron Hernandez becoming a criminal,
Okay.
um, and uh, if he won, the person that he traded with got $10. So, and he did win, and that person may or may not have gotten $10.
Mm,
Is
So,
interesting.
but I
Interesting.
don't recommend doing anything illegal. I used to be in favor of it, but I'm become a changed man. I don't do illegal stuff in my fantasy leagues anymore.
Nice.
good.
Did you mention the destination part of your group?
Yeah, yeah. So the first year we did like Fort Lauderdale. Last year we did Nashville. So it's a cool tradition that we do. I think there's a lot of really cool places you can go and cool things you can do, and it's kind of cool to get all the guys together. This year when we did Nashville, it was like every time we went out, we all wore our jerseys and stuff, and like we'd have a bunch of guys come up to our group and be like, "Oh man, are you here for a fantasy football draft? Like, yo, that's so sick! Like, that's great!" And then like women would be like, "Why are you all wearing jerseys?" And we'd be like, "Oh, we're here for our fantasy football draft." And they're like, "You should never tell anyone that ever again." And so we're like, "Yeah, that's fair."
If
Um,
you guys do bachelorette parties, we do fantasy drafts. You know what I mean? We gotta.
hey, I think we all had a great time, regardless of what other people may have thought. So it was fun. It was a good time.
Justin, how about yourself? I know you're in another league. Is it like a traditional thing like Sean? Is it a group of guys, girls that you do fantasy with every year?
So initially, I started back in college with like some roommates, and then some of my roommates' friends. It was just like a 10-man league, and that's when I got like super into it and stuff. And then the one I'm in now, the other one that I'm in now is I have some cousins that live in Ohio that they invited me to play in their league, and it's nothing crazy. It's just like a 10-man PPR league. I've been doing pretty well in those other leagues. I remember I won the championship in my friends' league. I lost in the semifinals one year by less than a point, and I was heartbroken. Uh, and then this year I had the first pick in the draft in a 10-person draft. So I'm still trying to decide who I'm gonna pick because everyone's saying Justin Jefferson this year, but I don't know. I think Christian McCaffrey's the move, honestly. So I haven't made my mind up yet, but yeah, those are like the two main other leagues that I play around in.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is last year, I had the first pick, obviously, and
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor was the number one player uh, that everybody's kind of predicting, and yeah, he didn't do anything for me. It was bad, man.
Did
yeah,
But
real bad.
he did really bad. So that's why, like, you can't always, it's hit or miss. You just never know with injuries or just performance of the team. Or
yeah,
running backs can be. I mean, if your team's always down, you're going to be throwing more than running. So it's just like that's what would frustrate me with Taylor. Like they'd be so far down, like they're not going to use him. I'm done.
yeah.
Um, what has been the most productive player that you guys have ever had? The guy that you love and that you're always like, man, if I could get him again or his production level again, who was your top guy, Justin? I'll start with you because I know Sean probably has a bunch.
You mean just like in previous years, like the best players that I've had?
Yeah, the like your top or your top performer.
I remember there was one year that I took Odell with my first pick, and then I got Todd Gurley in the second round, and that was the year Todd Gurley like went to the moon, and so I felt like I could like play the lottery or something like that, and then That was also the year that Zeke he got suspended, so I got him in the fourth round. So I had two like all-star running backs, and then I had Odell, and then I was just destroying everyone. And then I picked up Deshaun Watson, and that was when he was on fire for like 8 games. So that was the best overall team that I've ever had. But then I also had Christian McCaffrey in like 2019 when he was just a monster. So and I got him in like the second round too, which was awesome. So those are probably like the best players that are best experiences that I've had, like with running backs especially.
What you show?
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite players ever, and he was on my team for many years, was AJ Green. Um, Loved him. He was just super consistent. Um, he wasn't on my first championship team, but I traded him that year, so he still technically got a ring from my team. But he wasn't there to win the championship. But trading him allowed me to get David Johnson when he started going off, and so he was my guy for a few years. I loved David Johnson. I really like those running backs that just kind of like go like all out like every play. And uh, now I would say my most recent championship that I won, the main guy that carried me there was Cooper Kupp, the wide receiver from the Rams. It was the year that he went crazy. But the guy who's been on my team the past few years, I gotta shout him out because he's just been so consistent, is Austin Eckler. I mean, the dude is just, he catches everything. He's just a fantasy monster, and like he's one of the few players that I've ever seen that is actually like he cares about the people that own him in fantasy. Like he like literally will like tweet out like, "Hey, for all my fantasy owners, like blah blah blah, like I'm giving away a jersey if you won your league this week." Like he's he cares so much about fantasy, which is just very nice for a fantasy owner to see. And um he's been on my league for the past or on my team for the past like 3 or 4 years in my main league. So those are the guys that I feel like deserve a shout out. The rest of them, have come and gone. Uh, but anyways, what were you gonna say?
One one thing I noticed is that there's a common theme on this podcast, which is kind of wild because most of the fans of this team are normally decked out in jerseys or hats or something. Justin, you are a big Cowboys fan. You have gray on, but
Yeah,
no Cowboys gear.
yeah, I know. I have a CD Lamb jersey back home. I just didn't know we were all wearing jerseys today, so I didn't bring it with me. But I have a keychain, my car keychain, my car keys is a Cowboys theme. But I mean, yeah, I didn't know we were all coordinating our teams today. But yeah, sometimes.
You're shaming Cowboys Nation right now.
No, I just didn't get the notice that we were doing this.
Okay, fair
This
enough.
was a last minute decision by me. I just wanted to rep my boy Tua.
Speaking of fandom, would you guys say that? And because I told you my struggle has been, I hate rooting against my team. I hate rooting for teams or players I don't like or whatever. Or if somebody's playing your team and you need points and you kind of got to root against your team. Have you guys in your years of playing fantasy had to compromise your fandom, and would you compromise your fandom to win a match versus your team losing their game? Sean, I'll start with you. Or go ahead, Justin.
I'll do anything to beat Sean. So yeah,
Oh man. Okay.
I had Saquon Barkley last year. He's on the Giants, and he did really well last year. So I don't care. He only beat Sean.
I obviously want my team, my Miami Dolphins to win. I also want my fantasy teams to win. Um, I typically think that rooting for one player from an opposing team is not as much of a betrayal. Like it's much harder. Like I typically don't start a defense that's going against the Dolphins because then I'm rooting against the entire Dolphins offense, which
Hmm.
doesn't really seem. But like if it's like someone who's on the other team's offense, then like, yeah, I can just root for a shootout, which is more exciting anyways. And, you know, I can have someone on the other team who I'm rooting to score 3 touchdowns, but as long as the Dolphins score 5 touchdowns, then it doesn't matter. So I think my bigger issue is when I'm in multiple fantasy leagues, which I usually am, and I have someone on one of my teams that I'm starting that I'm rooting for, but in a different leagues he's on someone else's team and he's playing against me, and I'm like rooting for the guy on my team, but then also rooting against him because he's against a different team. That always frustrates me more than rooting against my Dolphins.
Cool. Yeah, and one of the things since I've been out the game for so long, because I think I can't remember. So consistently, I used to not consistently, but when I used to play, I think we used to play in a certain league, and it was just a mix up of people, friends, and girlfriends I had, and But I think we used to use Yahoo Sports back then, like their league. Do you guys have a preferred platform, and do you see like an advantage and disadvantage on some of the ones versus some of the other ones? Sure.
Uh, my main league has always used NFL.com fantasy.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the best one. I think we're just all used to it. We all like it. Um, I remember being in the draft this year and like their draft client is horrible. They need to do a lot of updates on like their user experience, to be honest. Like if anyone from NFL Fantasy sees this, you guys need to step up your game. But um I mean it's user friendly though. We like it. I've used ESPN a bunch of times. I think ESPN's the most simple one to use. Um, especially like if you're starting a league, it's just like that's the easiest one. Most people have an ESPN account. It's easy to just make a new team on there. Um, I haven't tried Yahoo for fantasy football. I've tried it for fantasy hockey one time,
I've
but that was
never
a
heard
long
of
time ago.
fantasy hockey before.
Yeah, I wasn't good at it. I don't remember winning anything. And what else? I haven't tried Sleeper. I've heard good things about that. My league did try CBS Sports one year.
Mhm.
Um, it was, I think CBS Sports had a lot of features. Like, I think they had the most customizable league that I've ever played in, where like you could like all the points things were customizable. You could make it so that kickers, like if a kicker made a 53-yard field goal, it was 5.3 points instead of like just being 5 points or 6 points. Like it was just more customizable. But
Hmm.
um, the user interface on that one's horrible, and there's a lot of things that they need to improve on. Also, CBS Sports usually charges for their leagues, so that's something that most people aren't in favor of. So, what about you,
How about
Justin?
yeah?
Uh, I mean, my roommates' leagues, those were all like just ESPN leagues, like the ESPN app. I like that one. That's a pretty like standard one. And then my the family league that I'm in, they use Yahoo, and I actually like that one a lot. I like how they do like they grade your draft and they tell you how good or bad you draft. And thankfully, I always get really high ratings, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, those are the two main.
NFL does that too.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
My team that I drafted a couple weeks ago, they gave me a C, and they said that I'm going to go 4-8. So excited to prove them wrong.
Jeez.
I, in all honesty, I don't think now that you're talking about it, I think I use NFL.com. That's what I've used for years. Last year, I mean, we used what ESPN last year in our league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first time using that, but I thought it was pretty good, pretty intuitive. And uh, Sean, I wanted to ask you as well. You've had a long history in with NFL, the fantasy football league, and even helping run a business. And I think you were one of the founders, maybe I don't know. Can you talk a little bit about that and tell the audience about that and how that kind of contributed to your addiction to fantasy football?
Yeah, me and a couple buddies from high school started this, business essentially where we had a Twitter account. We were providing fantasy football advice to thousands of people every day. We'd respond to every single tweet that we got asking, oh, who should I start or sit, or should I do this trade? Should I add this person? And um, we built up a following. By the end of it, I think we had about 30,000 followers, including former NFL players were following us. A lot of professional baseball players were following us, things like that. So I mean, it was pretty successful, and it ended up leading to one of the guys, getting a job working specifically in fantasy football for a few years, um, at CBS Sports. So it was pretty successful and it was a fun time. It definitely made me not like social media as much, because doing social media as a job makes you not want to do it so much personally, in my experience at least. But it was cool, like it was always fun, like afterwards, like seeing people like tweet back at us like, "Oh my God, like thank you so much, you helped me win my week." Then every once in a while you get people like, "Your advice was horrible, you totally screwed me," and it's like, "Oops, sorry, try better." Um, but it was a good time and good experience. Definitely learned a lot from about fantasy football. That was probably the years that I felt like I knew the most every week in and out. Over the years, I feel like I've become a little bit less prepared usually for my drafts than I was back then, but um, still feel like I'm good enough to win at least our league.
Justin, would you just good segue here? Justin, would you say now that the teacher will become the student, or would you say that happened last year? As far as Sean becoming the student and you being the teacher now.
He's got a lot to learn, so I'll teach him a lot of things this year. So don't worry.
Mm, I like it. I like it. Um, would you guys say, and I kind of experienced this in some of the leagues I was in, that fantasy football turned people that probably were casual fans into actual fans of the league. Have you guys had any people in your league that maybe they didn't watch it, but they just joined to have fun, and then they ended up being converted into an NFL fan?
Um, I would say, yeah, like I think fantasy football and also, I mean, betting a little bit, like sports betting too, have both played significant impacts into, more people watching and paying attention to the sport. If someone who doesn't have a particular team that they root for, um, will probably be watching more games that don't have any of, or even if you do have a team, like you'll watch games that don't have any impact on
Hmm.
your team, but it impacts your fantasy team, so you watch the game anyways. And I'm always watching NFL Red Zone. I don't know if either of you guys have NFL Red Zone, but that's they show sometimes up to like 8 games at a time. Uh, so I definitely think that it's increased like viewership and interest in the NFL. And even one of my buddies from my league, he had Calvin Johnson on his fantasy team for a while, and to the point where he actually he's now a Lions fan, and like that's the team that he legitimately roots for, even though has no ties to Detroit other than Calvin Johnson being a staple on his fantasy team for a bunch of years. So I think it can influence who you root for if you're like one of those people that's in between having a team, like you just kind of don't really care who you root for, like something like that. Having a great player on your fantasy team could make you root for a team that you previously weren't rooting for.
What about you, Justin? Have you seen that in any of the leagues you're in? Maybe for me personally, it was like a girlfriend that didn't back in the day that didn't really watch football, and she got into it after that. Who knows what else she's doing now?
Yeah, I've seen it happen a little bit with other people. I mean, I could speak for like myself. I was always someone that I like only watched Cowboys games. I never really, if it was the Bengals playing the Chargers, that game has nothing to do with like the NFC East or the Cowboys. So I used to never, I would never care before about that type of game. But ever since I started doing fantasy, and now it makes you invest in the other games that are happening, and that makes you just invested more in the league as a whole, which makes it more interesting, you know. So I would say for me, that's probably the case. Is I've gotten more involved, more interested in what's happening with the rest of the league because of fantasy, you know.
Yeah, well, going back to what you were saying, Sean, I had league passes of DirecTV. Like they gave it to me for free like last 2 years, so I was loving life. Now it's on YouTube, obviously YouTube TV. But yeah, they used to always. I thought it was cool because you could load your fantasy team in, and it would have there was a graphic that would show anytime your team scored, or you could put the two teams whoever you're playing up there. And I thought that was really good. They integrated it into the game, into all the NFL channels, all the Red Zone, and all of those different channels. That was a really cool feature. Anything else you guys were thinking about fantasy football? Any last words before our draft that you wanna? Justin, I'll start with you. What do you want to tell Sean? What words do you want to get across to him before we draft next week?
Uh, this year, let's see. So if it's a 6-man league, we'll play twice, and then we'll play in the playoffs. I'm assuming. So I will
Might
be.
be eight.
It might be
I don't,
eight.
we don't know.
Well, regardless, so I'll be probably 4-0 against Sean this year. I'm predicting. So I think it's Sean has a lot to learn. I'll teach him a lot about fantasy for my team. So I'm excited.
Awesome, Sean. How about you? You got any words for Justin or the league as a whole?
I can't hear him all the way up on my first place pedestal. It's
What
pretty
kind
far
of
down there at the second place spot. I mean, I don't know. I respect Justin's competitive nature, but I don't really see him as a threat. I don't see
Mm,
you as a threat. Um,
okay.
I feel pretty great about my chances of winning the league again. Um,
again?
I'm thinking about just auto drafting. I'll still probably win. It's not a big deal. Um, yeah, I feel great about my ability to find diamonds in the rough and add that to some established players that I can get. And yeah, dominance happens many ways, but I'm ready to do it again.
Don't be fooled by cubic zirconia. You know what I mean? Because I'm coming this year. Like last year, it was. I took my lumps last year. I played. Like I said, I didn't play it the way it should be. So this year, I'm coming for revenge. I'm coming for respect. Um, I'm coming for the league, and I definitely want to take Sean down. I think, you know, Justin. I think Justin. We went 1-1, didn't we?
Yeah, we
I think so.
Yeah, so we went one and
No,
one.
wait, I don't think I lost to anyone but Justin.
No, me and Justin.
Oh, probably.
We
yeah.
went 1-1, I believe. So, yeah, we it was like I don't really have too much anger for you, but for Sean, you know, keep your head on a swivel. Um, just always be looking behind your back because I don't even want to say you won the league. I don't know. It was maybe an asterisk behind it, like the one guy in your league, not for cheating, but the unfortunate Damar Hamlin situation. But you have a target on your back, and yeah, we're
Yeah,
coming
I
for you.
mean, the reason why, Justin keeps bragging about how much he beat me is because he knows that I'm clearly the best person in the league. So it's like the only thing that he's holding on to is the grasp of, oh man, I beat him once or twice. So like it when you are the best, you don't really need to be like holding on to that one little small regular season victory. I mean, Justin's used to it with the Cowboys.
Two
They're always holding on to
victories,
meaningless regular season victories.
victories, 2 victories, not one.
Yeah, champions get remembered. Regular season victories, those fade away.
Just,
Championship, though. I don't know what to tell you.
just I do have to ask you a question. You said two there. I thought it was three.
Regular season?
Oh, you said regular season. Okay,
Yeah.
three overall though is what you're saying, right?
No,
Okay.
he didn't beat me in the championship. So he beat me twice. The last one, I was pretty clearly gonna win, and it just happened to be that it was. But regardless, where the game stopped, I was winning. So I think that means that I
It
still
was
win.
over after 60 minutes. It was over. They paused the game and never resumed.
I had two players that were better than your two players, so I don't understand why this is even
Everything.
a debate.
I had Joe Mixon. I could beat your entire team with just him. He had like 60 points against you one week.
And then he never did anything the rest of the year. Trust me, I had him in one of my other
He
leagues.
did it. He did enough to beat your team twice.
This is gonna be a fun season. We should do something like the show the league and have like a trophy for the winner, like the Shiva, and then I forget what the last place team got, but we should do as we grow this league and we do this over time, huh?
Last place gets fired from the company.
Oh
And
boy.
you lose your equity in the company. You lose some percentage points. Gee, that's brutal, man. One thing I wanted to say, Sean, and we had talked about this, is offensive linemen not getting any love, and Extropian's plan, which we won't reveal quite yet, but we have a plan to all the offensive linemen out there. You deserve to be part of fantasy football, and we're going to make sure you guys get the recognition that you deserve. And we have, through our technology, have a really cool plan to get you guys the love that all these other position groups are getting. So we just kind of want to throw that out there as well, and we're excited about that because I know we say we can do all these things for all these different sports. Horseshoes, I mean, we horseshoes, backgammon, we can make it happen. But for the NFL offensive linemen, we have something coming for you guys, and it's you guys are gonna be finally get your shine and be an addition to fantasy football. So don't worry, your time is coming.
Heck yeah.
So with that being said, in the comments, talk about your fantasy football drafts. Let us know your team, who you picked up, or who even you guys want to give me some tips. Put some tips in the comment section about who you think are the guys to get this year. So like, comment, subscribe, and have a conversation in there. Sure.
Justin and Ricky can really use the tips, so please comment and provide some
Dude.
help to them.
Oh, well, make sure Sean doesn't lose twice to me this year. 3 times to me, actually. So he needs your help.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
stack my team on whatever weeks I'm supposed to play Justin, like trade for like all bye weeks just so I can just beat Justin by like 150 points. Honestly, that's
You can
the dream.
team however you want. I'll still beat you by 30.
We'll post these results. We will. So when I shame Sean, you guys will hear about that. We'll go ahead and put that up on after the week when I beat him. With that being said, thank you guys again. Have a great weekend. Ready for football, ready for fantasy football, and follow Extropian. We're going to the promised land. See you guys.